Hello, everyone. Happy Monday. Happy Monday of the last week of March. Oh my goodness gracious, we are already here. So first, a couple things for all of you that I got to see last week in Denver at the National Science Teaching Association conference. It was so wonderful to see you in person. For all who I was not able to see who were there, my deep sadness for not getting to connect in person, and for all of you who were in your classroom, pushing hard, supporting your students, doing what you do. Thank you. Thank you for all that you're doing. We're at the end of March. You are doing awesome. We are getting there. It is so exciting and so hard. I just want to acknowledge like all of those things can exist at one time. So a couple things that I want to share. One, just like major shout out. My kids were like so excited for like this new awesome like Iron on NASA patch. Yes, that is true. Whenever I go to conferences, my like give back to my kids for mommy being away for a while is like, what kind of cool swag can I pick up on the exhibit floor? Anybody else, or is this just me? Stickers, Post-its, badges. I try not to do too many posters because there just is only so much wall space in our house. Well, but all sorts of things. But I ran into Angie Rizzi, awesome human. If you don't know her and the MyNASA data team, oh my goodness, reach out. They are so phenomenal. And she told me about some amazing things they are working on. And that is what I wanted to dive into. I'm like looking all around my desk, ready to go. Because remember a couple weeks ago, I was sort of highlighting up their data cubes, the MyNASA data cubes, which you can use with any data visualization that you are working with. It does not have to be a NASA data set. It is just a resource to jump in and create a structure to help students start to think about how do we make sense of a visualization, a graph, a map, a chart, a plot, all of these different things in a slightly different way than always going through the same steps. So I'll link to that data bite from a few weeks ago. So if you didn't see it and you want to see it, you can connect up with it. But what was really exciting when I was talking to Angie is they've taken this data cube and they have connected it in with some of their other lessons and resources. So let me cue this up. Sorry, I didn't do this ahead of time because I want to share out some awesome things that they have. And I will link to this as well once I'm done. So they've got this great set of lessons, this analyzing global patterns with the Earth system satellite images. Now, so here I am talking specifically to those of us teaching Earth environmental science, Earth and space science, all of the different things, either as a full course or as part of our integrated science in middle school or down in elementary school. And so I don't know about you, but my 7th graders and some of my undergrads, I start to roll a little bit when they look at graphs like this of satellite data. It is so much information coming at you at once. And there is so much power in all of that data and having it all on one visualization and being able to see the global world of all of those data. And it's really hard for our novices to really take all of this in. It's hard for them not to get stuck on individual components, on those surface attributes, right? Remember, our novices, they look more at the surface attributes, and we experts can dive in and see the nuance and the meaningful patterns and the trends, things like that. But what I want to shout out is the amazing team at MyNASA Data has built out a bunch of surrounds. So in this grouping of lessons, they explain the different variables that are included in these satellite images that they have already pulled for you that are easily accessible. And they're all right here. So you can easily jump in and capture them as static images or as animations to them. But this is what I want to showcase. They have built out this incredible suite of related lesson plans that are specific to these satellite images. But I'm going to return to that. I'm going to put a like pin in that and return to that afterwards. So we've got one where they're analyzing one variable and how do you use the cube? So how do you get students thinking about, okay, one single image from the same month, thinking about like what is there, using those sheets on the data cube resources that I highlighted out in that other data bite. But then look at all of these other related lesson plans that they've got. So then, and they've got these great structures in place. So you can jump in this data set, you can make different groups, and each group gets a different month. And then they have these great suggestions on, well, so then how do you jigsaw that? So rather than taking this animation of tons and tons of information across the entire globe and each of our students sort of head spinning to make sense of it, ooh, we can break it up. We can jigsaw. So we can jigsaw it by looking at, looking across sort of annual changes in a single variable. We can look across sort of in different sections of 2 different variables, right? So we're like not trying to change everything at once. Here we're just same month, 2 different variables, and jigsawing that across our students, or thinking about, what's this one? So we're like exploring patterns among variables for a particular month. And they've got this great suggestion of kind of a fishbowl activity of how you can get groups talking to each other. So what I love about this is that they are creating a structure where they're giving us the cues of, one, how do we unpack and help our students make sense of that huge amount of data in a satellite image with various different ways. So you can use all, you can use one, you can use some of those suggestions, but I will say that suite of 6 related lessons that they have is a really good way to scaffold a novice who has never looked at global satellite information to think about, how do we take it apart? How do we make sense of it? How do we think about it? Does that take time? Yes, it does. Totally. Like no ifs, ands, or buts about it. But those are all the nuanced components of how we make sense of that large of a data set. And so either we sort of create some space for that at some point or over time, right? It doesn't have to be all in one sitting, or we scale back our expectations of what we are hoping our students will gain from looking at a global data visualization, because our novices need the time to think through all of those different components. If we are looking at, like NASA has, like makes accessible to us every day, like huge amounts of data across huge geographical regions, and that go really deep in time. So we have daily, monthly, annual data across that big geographic range. That is a lot for our novices to wrap their heads around. And so what I love about this suite, and I'll link it in the comments below or link it in the section, wherever I link things, totally forget what it's called, is that they have built out these related lessons, one, to help students unpack these different pieces, to create this sort of on-ramp into these complex data visualizations that we know our middle school and high school students can look at and make sense of, but it creates that sort of, that ladder, that stair step into it, and leverages the awesome Data Cubes resource that they're already using that creates a different structure for students to make sense of data. So thank you. Huge shout out to the My NASA data team for creating those. But now I want to come back to that pin that I put in. These lessons are built out for the My NASA data, or for satellite imagery of NASA data that the My NASA data team has put together. But all of those teacher moves, all those instructional strategies of helping students pick apart and make sense of the large data sets that exist in our satellite imagery, dun, 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 can be used for whatever our large data set is. So it was why I was like extra excited to share. It's a resource. If you are not teaching Earth, environmental, space, science, any of those subject areas, or those subjects, those topic areas don't fall into your curriculum, no worries. I'm going to go out on a limb and say there's probably a large data set that is in your curriculum, and you can look at these related lesson plans and see the structures that the My NASA data team has pulled together, and just tweak the content for your data sets. Follow the structure, add in your data set. Hopefully not too large of a tweak to make it work for you and your learners. As always, great connecting with you. I hope you all are doing well, settling into this week. Those of you who are on vacation, enjoy every moment of it. Those of you who are on vacation next week, you can do it. You can get there. And for those of you who are not on vacation either this week, you too can do it. I thank you for all that you do. Talk to you next week. Bye, all.